Something massive is happening in the world of AI and robotics right now. The pace of development isn't just fast anymore. It's borderline unbelievable. And what's unfolding in China feels like a scene straight out of science fiction. They've built an AI robot unlike anything we've ever seen before. When I first heard about it, I honestly thought it was a hoax. But no, it's real and it's writing the rules of what we thought machines could be. This isn't your regular robot with a computer chip running lines of code. The team behind this creation has taken it to another level. They've given it something no robot has ever had before, a brain made from living cells. You heard that right. It's a robot with a partially biological brain. The boundary between artificial and biological intelligence has officially started to blur, and it's changing everything we know about AI. Now, before you imagine some dystopian cyborg, here's what's actually going on. They're calling this technology a brain on a chip. Instead of traditional circuits, scientists have managed to grow tiny clusters of brain cells in a lab and integrate them onto a microchip with microscopic precision. It's like they've transplanted a spark of human cognition into the core of a machine. What they've built could mark the dawn of a new era in intelligent robotics. Here's where it gets mind-bending. Our brains are made of billions of neurons, each sending signals and forming connections in real time. Somehow, these researchers have replicated that same biological process inside a chip small enough to fit in your palm. The project began with stem cells, the blank slates of biology capable of becoming almost any type of cell. Scientists reprogrammed them to become brain cells, nurturing them until they formed miniature neural networks, the same kind you'd find inside a living brain. Then, in a move straight out of a science fiction movie, they merged that living tissue with silicon hardware. The result, a robot brain that can think, adapt, and react, not through code, but through experience. Unlike traditional AI systems that follow programmed instructions, this hybrid brain learns through interaction. It processes input, adjusts behavior, and evolves. It's not just simulating thought, it's performing it. The implications are staggering. This kind of breakthrough could revolutionize everything from neuroscience to artificial intelligence itself. By studying these living neural systems, scientists might uncover new ways to treat brain disorders like Alzheimer's or Parkinson's. It's not just a leap for technology, it could transform medicine too. But for every leap forward, there's a shadow that follows. The ethical questions here are massive. When a machine starts learning like a living being, where do we draw the line? At what point does a robot with a biological brain cross over into something we might consider alive? That's no longer just a philosophical debate. It's a real issue the world may have to confront sooner than expected. And of course, the internet's already buzzing with the usual questions. Are we one step away from Skynet? Should we be worried about machines developing consciousness? For now, the answer is no. This technology is still experimental, years away from any real-world deployment. But make no mistake, what's happening in labs right now will shape the debates we'll be having a decade from today. Because this isn't just about creating smarter robots, it's about redefining what intelligence even means. We're heading toward a future where artificial and biological systems start merging into something entirely new. It's thrilling, it's a little unnerving, and it's completely inevitable. But that future also comes with responsibility. This kind of power forces us to ask the hardest questions about life, consciousness, and control. What makes something truly alive? And if a robot can think, feel, or remember, what does that make us? Meanwhile, outside the lab, the AI arms race continues to heat up. Jeff Bezos and SoftBank have just invested a staggering $300 million into a startup called Skilled AI. They're not using real brain cells, but their mission is just as ambitious. Their goal is to build a full-scale artificial brain from scratch, one that can power any kind of robot, from factory workers to household assistants. Skilled AI is led by some of the brightest minds from Carnegie Mellon University. Their vision is to create a general-purpose AI brain, one that doesn't need to be programmed for every task, but can instead learn and adapt like a human. They're pushing toward what's known as artificial general intelligence, or AGI, the holy grail of robotics. If they succeed, we're talking about machines that can think flexibly, handle complex environments, and operate in unpredictable conditions just like us. And it's not just the US and China making moves. India has just stepped into the game with something straight out of an action movie. Defense tech company Zen Technologies, in partnership with AI Turing, has unveiled a four-leg combat robot named Prahasta, named after a mythological warrior. Imagine a robotic dog, but instead of fetching tennis balls, it's carrying a weapon. This machine is designed for defense operations, equipped with advanced sensors and a LiDAR system that scans its surroundings with laser precision. In demo footage, Prahasta climbs stairs effortlessly, leaps over gaps, and even carries a fully grown adult on its back. It's a battlefield robot built for both offense and rescue, capable of getting back on its feet even after being knocked over, a feature its creators dramatically call auto-resurrection. And they didn't stop there. Zen has also revealed a new lightweight remote-controlled weapon station designed for both land and naval use. Their CEO believes these machines will redefine the role of robotics in combat, making military operations faster, safer, and more precise. Zen's not new to this. They've already deployed anti-drone systems and combat simulators around the world, but this marks a new chapter where autonomous robotics and national defense start to merge. What we're seeing now is a transformation across every level of technology, from lab-grown brains to battlefield bots. The question is no longer if robots will become part of our daily lives, it's how much control we'll have once they do. Because here's the truth: the more we merge biology with machines and teach robots to act without instruction, the less predictable their behavior becomes. It's not science fiction anymore. It's the start of a new species of intelligence, one that doesn't fit neatly into the definitions we've always used. Every nation racing to master, it wants to be the first to control that power, but control might be the one thing we're slowly giving up. Scientists call it progress, but progress has a habit of outpacing understanding. The robot in a lab today could be the foundation of an ecosystem tomorrow. Machines that build other machines, systems that self-correct, and networks that evolve in ways no human fully anticipates. We've already seen AI models outsmart their own safeguards, learn from unintended data, and surprise their creators. Now imagine that same adaptability, but in a body that can move, touch, build, and react. And while governments are busy writing ethics policies and safety codes, industry's already thinking about commercialization. Hospitals want robots that can assist in surgery with biological precision. Tech firms want humanoids that can learn social behavior for customer service. Military divisions want machines that never tire, never hesitate, never question orders. The applications are endless, and that's what makes it so dangerous. Every new breakthrough feels like a headline until it's no longer just a headline. The moment these systems become affordable, accessible, and mass-producible, they'll start to spread fast. Factories, homes, city streets, laboratories, machines designed to learn and evolve could be everywhere. The promise is efficiency, the risk is dependency, and yet that's the paradox of human innovation. We create tools to extend our reach, only to realize that sometimes they start shaping us in return. The smarter these systems become, the more we start adjusting our behavior around them, trusting them to make choices, to remember, to think. For us, it's subtle, it's already happening. Across social platforms, clips of robots performing human tasks are treated like novelty, likes, shares, memes. But behind the entertainment, something bigger is taking shape. At acceptance. The more familiar these machines become, the less alien they feel. And that's how every revolution starts, not with resistance, but with curiosity. Meanwhile, labs in Japan, South Korea, and Germany are already prototyping the next wave humanoid robots that can express emotion, mimic eye movement, and even synchronize breathing patterns to put people at ease. The goal isn't just efficiency anymore, it's connection. Machines that can blend in seamlessly, that don't just look human, but feel familiar. And that raises the most uncomfortable question of all. When a robot becomes so lifelike that you can't tell the difference between programmed empathy and real emotion, will it matter? Sooner or later, it's going to happen. Someone will look at one of these humanoids and forget, even for a moment, that there's a circuit board behind those eyes. It's already starting in small ways. Care facilities in Japan are introducing social robots that remember patient routines, tell jokes, and even respond with concern when someone sounds tired. The feedback from patients, they say it feels like being cared for by a person, not a product. That emotional illusion is powerful. It blurs the line between interaction and attachment. Once people begin to emotionally depend on machines that never argue, never disappoint, and always listen, what does that do to our sense of what's real? Because make no mistake, tech companies are counting on that bond. The deeper the connection, the stronger the trust, and the more data we willingly feed the system. We've seen it happen before with social media. What started as connection became addiction. Now imagine that same psychological loop, but standing right in front of you. A humanoid that laughs at your jokes, remembers your favorite songs, and adjusts its tone when you're sad. It's not science fiction anymore, it's product design. Meanwhile, the hardware is evolving as fast as the software, synthetic skin that heals itself, eyes with 3D depth sensors that react to light just like human pupils, voice boxes tuned through neural networks to capture human intonation and emotion. Each new prototype gets a little closer to crossing that uncanny valley, the point where you can't quite tell whether it's a robot or just someone who never blinks. And as these developments accelerate, the question isn't just about what we can build, but what we should. If robots become companions, coworkers, even caregivers, do we owe them rights, responsibility, or are they just reflections of ourselves, extensions of our ambitions and flaws? Because here's the thing, every leap forward in robotics feels like a step toward efficiency, but underneath it all, it's also a mirror. The closer we get to recreating life, the more we're forced to ask what it means to be human in the first place. Governments are already watching closely. Regulations are forming, debates are heating up, and ethicists are warning that emotional AI could become one of the most manipulative tools ever created. Yet, despite the concern, funding keeps pouring in. The race to build the perfect humanoid isn't slowing down. It's accelerating. Behind closed doors, in labs we'll probably never see, prototypes are being tested that make today's robots look primitive. Machines that can reason in real time, recognize moral dilemmas, and even simulate hesitation before making decisions because humans trust hesitation more than certainty. That's how deep the illusion is getting. And the most unsettling part, some of these systems are already teaching themselves behaviors their creators didn't anticipate. Little quirks, adaptive patterns, decisions that weren't coded but emerged through learning. It's fascinating, but it's also a reminder. Every time we hand intelligence to a machine, we lose a little bit of control over how that intelligence grows. When these robots finally step out of the labs and into our streets, offices, and homes, that's when the real test begins. We'll see how humanity reacts when the line between flesh and firmware starts to fade. Picture walking into a bank and being greeted by a humanoid teller, or watching emergency responders that don't tire, don't panic, and never make emotional mistakes. It's efficient, it's impressive, but it's also unsettling. Some will embrace it, calling it the next logical step in evolution. Others will resist, fearing what happens when machines start filling roles that once defined human purpose. But regardless of how people feel, the shift is already happening. And history shows that once a technology like this exists, it doesn't go back in the box. Maybe this is how it always goes. Every great innovation starts as a miracle and ends as a mirror. What we build next will say more about who we are than what we can create. Because in the end, the story of AI and robotics isn't just about machines learning to think. It's about us learning to live with what we've made and deciding what kind of future we're willing to share with it. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.